Villy walked down the hallway towards the grand ceremony, where a human inventor of all things would be awarded the Starbell Prize. Villy was beside himself with ire that such a thing had been allowed to pass. This was an award meant for the greatest minds and engineers of the universe. For such an insignificant race such as humanity to be awarded it was beyond his ability to comprehend. Though it defied his will, it did not defy the council's, and he was but a humble servant of the council themselves. Arriving near the stage, he could see the podium where the host for the category before him was giving a speech extolling the virtues of the recipient of the Starbell Prize for Peace. "I'd like to thank Helicotopep, the destroyer of souls, for bringing peace to the Arcadius sector. For with his tireless efforts, conflict is no longer in the minds and souls of the sector's inhabitants," the host announced, gesturing to the other side of the stage. Slithering out of the shadowy area was a visceral horror, a being so indescribable that no two beings ever saw the same thing. The audience all clapped in near-perfect robotic unison. Villy had no doubt that the creature was using some kind of psychic field to induce such phenomena. It was even Villy's suspicion this creature used such a power to induce peaceful sentiments in the minds of the two warring races. Still, it mattered little. The results spoke for themselves. Two races that were at war with one another for centuries, slaughtering countless worlds, now held a steady and lasting peace. The creature accepted the award and turned to face the audience. Minutes of silence dragged on till the audience gave a robotic laugh. Evidently, it had conveyed a minor joke. Then, with a bob of what might be its head, it slithered away, and it was Villy's turn to present the award. Walking onto the stage, Villy approached the podium and swallowed his vitriol. From what he had been told, the human in question had requested Villy to be the one to present the award. Such a human must not know him well if that was the case.
Thank you, everyone," Villy began. "We are here to award the Starbell Prize for Engineering. Long have engineers, scientists, and all manner of intelligent species dreamed of making personalized wormhole devices. But due to the Vistari constant, the ability to miniaturize the mechanisms was deemed that of fiction."
Villy paused to sweep his gaze over the audience.
"It is this constant that has only recently been disproven and overcome by the wiliest of species. The human engineer known as Nigel Planar worked tirelessly and solved a problem that all before have failed."
Villy gestured to his left, where the human named Nigel walked out and waved to the audience that was now applauding. Looking at the features of the human, Villy felt a spark of recognition, but couldn't place where he recognized him from. Holding out the award for the human, Villy swallowed the bile that had surged upwards. He held the opinion that humans were the most disgusting of species around. Stepping aside to allow the human Nigel access to the podium, Villy stealthily wiped his hand on his robe in an attempt to remove the human particles from his being. Thank you! Nigel gestured for the applause to come down. "I am here because I achieved something many deemed impossible. But what drove me to attempt such a thing?" he rhetorically asked. "You see, we humans are motivated by three things. Sometimes it can be all three. Others it'll just be one. But at the end of the day, it is my opinion that it is these three that guide humans to develop as we do. What are these three, you may ask? Well, the first is genuine fascination. We are like children overflowing with wonder. Our eyes light up and we can't help but push further than any sane sentient would." Nigel paused and swept his gaze over the raptured audience before holding up two fingers. "The second is ego. Many inventions have been made due to a human's desire to be remembered for recognition and all that comes with it. This award would be a dream come true for one motivated as such," Nigel said, holding the Starbell Prize aloft. "I, however, am not these first two categories. Well, maybe a little of the first," he said with a chuckle that was echoed back by some of the audience. "You see, I am firmly in the third category, and it is Sir Villy that I can thank for putting me in that category and motivating me to make my creation." Nigel gestured to Villy, who was stunned at being referenced at all. He felt a swell of pride at being indirectly responsible for this invention, albeit slightly tainted pride due to a human being responsible. "You see, dear people, the third motivator is spite." Nigel paused, as there were murmurs of shock. Villy himself was stunned at the statement. "You see, we humans can be motivated to prove something to someone who has wronged us. Many years ago, I met Sir Villy and he scoffed at my work, said it was the most primitive and ugly creation he had ever seen, and my ideas on creating a miniaturized wormhole device were laughable. In fact, he did laugh loudly in my face, if I recall correctly. Villy began retreating slowly as Nigel continued. That night, a burning desire to see him swallow his words was born. I worked day and night and found a way to do what all before had deemed impossible. My dear audience, we humans are creatures that will achieve great things if properly motivated. Sometimes it is just to say, fuck you, to a certain someone. Nigel turned to face Villy and held up his middle finger. Fuck you, Sir Villy. Your name will forever be a joke. With those final words, Nigel bowed and left the stage.